Mm-mm-mm.
All right. Well, until Dex gets back, I'll be holding it down here, it appears. Welcome to New York Got Game. This week, it's going to be a lot of Giannis talk. And Giannis hasn't formally requested a trade and was injured last night. We'll talk about that. Stefan Bondi from the Post is going to be coming on. We're going to talk to him about the various things regarding potentially the Knicks and Giannis, who is out now with the calf strain for 2 to 4 weeks and is not, thankfully, blown out his Achilles, which some people feared upon looking at that injury. So Giannis Antetokounmpo, we'll see what happens there. The Bucks have been very unfortunate this year, and this sort of took a tailspin once they lost to the Washington Wizards recently, a game where Giannis Antetokounmpo played. So it wasn't an instance where Milwaukee was heavily shorthanded. Giannis actually played in this game. The irony being that Chris Middleton, his former Milwaukee Bucks teammate, actually did come out and hit a big shot to help win that game for the Wizards, one of the few wins that they have this season. And right now, his future is coming into question, him being Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Knicks did get right recently, got I wouldn't say big, but a win, a necessary win in Charlotte on the second end of a back-to-back after losing to the Boston Celtics on Tuesday, the night before. We did a watch long for that with Andrew Claudio of Knicks Film School. And yeah, they needed that bounce back victory. But for the Giannis situation, it's obviously what we're going to be talking about primarily as Dexter gets back in here. Giannis has a few years left on his contract. This is not a situation where you need to trade for him and extend him right away. But Dex, I mean, just your reaction to this week in Knicks basketball being that you get the loss to Boston, the win against Charlotte, and then all of a sudden the Giannis thing, like it's not brand new, the
Mm-mm.
reports that are coming out about this, but it does feel more real because I went into this season being like, hey, this is probably a mid-season thing. I mean, not a mid-season thing, maybe an off-season thing. And now it feels like it may have to be a mid-season thing because of how open the East feels, which says something about maybe how other teams feel about the Knicks and the Cavs.
Yeah, this week has been crazy. Because I think a loss like the Celtics loss for the Knicks, the Knicks have won 5 out of 6 games, and all everybody's going to talk about is the Celtics loss.
That's kind of crazy.
And I get it because this is where they are in how they play, and especially as you've been hitting on the last couple of the week or so, it's like, yo, they haven't beat a good team on the road, and this is some of the stuff you're going to hear now when you combine with the Giannis stuff, and we still haven't heard like what exactly did Giannis say after his team lost to the Wizards, because like I want to know more about that. That's all I want to know.
I'm with you.
Like, yo, did he like go in the locker room and was like, yo, that's it. Yo, that's it.
That's it.
Like,
It's
I'm not
over.
playing
He
with
threw,
I'm
he
not
threw
playing with
shit.
these
He
guys. Do a
broke the
chair.
locker.
He's like, y'all go back to Greece before I play another game here with the Bucks. Like that's what I want to know. Like, did that happen? If that happened, and he said, look, I'm done. Now I always think the language around this stuff is important. He comes out and says, the reporting is that he and his team are, working with Bucks representatives to try to, get something, figure out what the best path is moving forward. I think those are the exact words it was going, what the best path is moving forward. That is like a softball way of saying, y'all don't want to do this anymore, without saying, I don't want to do this anymore. Right. And Giannis has struck me as a guy that doesn't want to come out and say this, but the instant he does, the instant he actually, like, we fully know he's pushed that button, now it's on. I was with you. We talked about Giannis trades. We did a whole episode on this in the offseason. I did not. I said, you know what? If Giannis really wants out, which may be where we are now, he'll push the button and they'll be out. But this is more likely a draft night trade. I always thought this more likely a draft night trade. A draft night trade actually benefits, if you want a Knicks Bucks trade, it benefits both sides more because the Knicks will have more assets in terms of draft capital to give up then than they would today or at the trade deadline. Now, if somehow the Knicks can pull this off at the trade deadline with their limited assets, and they don't are unable to, gut their team, that would be a major coup. All y'all who about like let Leon Rose cook, that's not that would be cooking. We'll put it like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And the keys for me are this. One, will Giannis actually formally ask out?
Yes.
Like like in a really public way. I know Brian Windhorst reported that he basically has already done that, but will he actually come out and say it, or will his representation come out and say it, or whatever? Like, to what degree this gets public? And then the other thing will be, does this happen now? Because I did hear Zach Lowe say this, which I thought was a great point, or it might have been Kirk Goldsberry, his guess, where they said, look, it actually may be more advantageous for Milwaukee to do this now and not wait. Because if you're another team and you look at the NBA, especially the Eastern Conference, is wide open this year, and you're looking at, hey, we could match up with the Thunder if we get Giannis, that you would act on this now. Why would you wait? Because it's not like the Thunder are getting any worse. And I agree with that, because it's like the Thunder are going to, again, have lottery picks, plural, maybe, depending on what happens with some of the protections and some of the teams that have protections, and they just have every pick imaginable. They can do a lot to keep retooling. AJ Mitchell wasn't even a thought last year, and this year he's been somebody who's played big minutes for them. Like,
Yeah.
And if you're looking at the landscape of the East, the Knicks and the Cavs have been favored all year to come out of the conference. Detroit's introduced themselves. Atlanta's been on a run without Trae Young. Boston looks better lately, having won 7 of 9 after that Knicks game. Miami's been better than expected. Philly, even, I think, has been a little bit better than I expected. I thought it could have been another doom and gloom season, and I love VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey. I didn't quite expect this. And Orlando's getting it together. So, like, you have a lot of teams where they probably feel like, hey, we're not that far. And like I told you yesterday, which we'll talk about, it for the Knicks, like, if Giannis, and this is the other key that I wanted to get to, if Giannis has a list when this does in fact take place, if he has a list and the Knicks are on that list, I don't think the Knicks could afford to sit this out. I once may have thought that maybe you don't lead it, and then it's like, and I talked to someone today, a mutual friend of ours, who she was like, I don't know if they need Giannis, like they're a contender now, but it's like, yeah, Giannis solidifies you though, makes you a contender, and somebody's going to get him. Like, if he's available, somebody's going to get him, and if he goes somewhere else, that's going to hurt you. So
Yeah.
that's part of the calculus on that too.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but and need is the very interesting word. I asked this yesterday when we did that short video on reacting to this. Need is an interesting word, but we need some extra perspective here. So we're going to bring in my guy, the Knicks beat writer for the New York Post, the one and only Stefan Bondi, joining us here now. Steph, what's going on, man?
What's up, man?
I'm good. I just want to say before we get started, Steph, it should be noted, we are 5 weeks away from your prediction being right. 5 weeks away, no more wins for the Giants, and there will be only 2 on the season. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you're Steph Stradamus, but you're close. It's looking
Steph
good.
Stradamus. That was hard to say, but I feel you, man. I don't think it's gonna stick. I don't think that nickname's gonna stick, but I appreciate it. And also,
yes,
the Giants are the Giants. You just have to like feel it out that the Giants are gonna be bad, and just go from there.
All right, make sure. Yeah, we got. Yeah, Steve Popper's not gonna like that energy around that, but it is what it is. Good to see you, bro. We're gonna start with this. We were talking about the Giannis whole situation, and obviously his name being brought up to the Knicks, around the Knicks, and all this stuff. What do you make of these rumors heating up again about Giannis possibly to the Knicks?
Yeah, I mean, listen, for 2 years now, I've kind of adopted the stance, and I think it's true, is that the Knicks can't win a bidding war against them. If it's open to the field, the Knicks are going to lose that battle in terms of what they have to offer, and So I think unless Giannis comes out and says, all right, I'm coming to it's got to be the Knicks, and I'm going to use the leverage of this contract extension, and you have to work with me because I'm the best player in franchise history, and I did that, and I won a championship for you, and you better do me a solid, and it's got to be the New York Knicks. Then I don't think the Knicks are going to get Giannis Antetokounmpo, and it's an uphill battle for them. And right now they're adopting the posture. I'm talking about the Knicks of we like what we have. And I think that's just the nature of where you're at in terms of we want to keep our players happy, because if Giannis Antetokounmpo ever jarred loose and they had the opportunity to get him, they would jump with both feet at that opportunity.
Yes.
So listen, I think that they're not going to get him just based on logic and based on, if the Milwaukee Bucks were doing the right thing for the franchise and for their fans and for ownership and all down the line. But if they were doing right by Giannis Antetokounmpo, and if he legitimately said, listen, and I don't know if this is true, I'm just saying this is what
Right.
Shams reported, that he wanted the Knicks. That was it. That was the one team. He didn't. Giannis kind of denied it. It was weird when I asked him about it, but if that is true and he leverages his way to the Knicks, I think that's the only way he gets here.
Well, that's the thing for me too. I guess two-part question for me, Bondi, that you kind of answered in one bit. Like it sounds to me like you believe the Knicks would need Giannis Antetokounmpo, because that's a question I tossed around. It's like, okay, some people will say they don't need him, and I'm like, who's turning down Giannis? you know what I mean? Like, I think that's a fair thing to bring up. But I guess the other part that was interesting listening to your answer just now was, do you think Giannis can play this leverage game? It's one thing to say that what was reported in the summer, late in the summer, that hey, the Knicks were the only team on his list. But do you think he might play that card with knowing the power he could wield in the market and say, New York's the only place I want to go to?
I don't know. I know everybody keeps telling me the guy has stopped short of demanding a trade for a reason, because he doesn't want to be the bad guy.
I've heard
So
that too.
so does he want to be the bad guy times two and says, I want to trade? And guess what? You're gonna have to get back worse value for me because I want to go to this specific team, and that would piss off the Milwaukee fan base even more, piss off the Bucks even more. I don't know. I don't know. James Harden would have no problem. Kevin Durant would have no
Yeah.
problem.
That's true.
But
Yeah,
but
they give him
I don't know. I don't know
yeah.
what Giannis would do, to be honest.
Yeah. He has seemed to not be the guy that wants to go. Go ahead, Brian. My bad.
Steph, do you have an idea of, if it got to this point, do you have an idea of what the Knicks would actually be willing to piece together in the event that because if Giannis does publicly ask out, they're going to be in the sweepstakes. Like especially if he wants to go there. But do you have an idea of what an offer or a maybe series of offers could look like? Because there's a world where, and we talked about this yesterday, Dex, where this could be a 3-team, 4-team deal, especially with this new CBA, because that's often how things have to get done now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think you got to start with Cat automatically, and then I mean, I've kicked around ideas. I don't know what they're willing to give up, so this is all speculation.
Right.
Cat and Deuce and Mikal Bridges for Giannis and Kyle Kuzma. And then you throw in whatever draft picks. And if you want to, and the other scenario I tossed out there was 3-way trade with San Antonio, where, listen, I know the Bucks probably, if they're getting rid of Giannis, they want to go into rebuild mode. So then you're shipping off different players to San Antonio, because San Antonio is in a situation where they might want to say, all right, let's go for it. Wemby's ready. And then Stephon Castle comes back to Milwaukee, and then you give San Antonio Mikal Bridges, and you give San Antonio OG Anunoby or something like that. You know what I mean? So there's different scenarios that you could throw out there. I don't know specifically what the Knicks would be willing to offer, other than it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's the best player in the Eastern Conference by far. Second best player in the NBA, in my opinion, after Nikola Jokic, ahead of Luka Doncic. So, listen, if you're serious about winning a championship, I think the Knicks can convince themselves that, hey, we can get out of the East right now. I don't think they can convince them unless they're blowing smoke up their own ass that they can beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA Finals.
And see,
So
that's the point, right?
Yeah,
Getting Giannis would put you in that class where you could legitimately beat them.
But even beyond that, though, like what if, because Giannis is the best player in the Eastern Conference, we all would agree with that. You run the risk of, if you don't land him, he can stay in the East because there are other teams in the East who can put packages together or put a deal together, be it a Miami, be it a Detroit, be it maybe even an Orlando. Even Atlanta has been thrown out there, even Cleveland, even regardless of their tax situation. But there is a way that this can actually get done. Like the Knicks would run the risk of, oh, okay, we're good now, we can contend now. But another one of your rivals gets Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then all of a sudden they're above you or right on the same tier.
Yeah, I mean, this scenario happened at a lesser level with Donovan Mitchell. Remember, they were going hard after him, and then Cleveland ended up with him, and that's a rival in the Eastern Conference. And now you have Cleveland and the Knicks going at each other. I don't think the Knicks anticipated at that point that Jalen Brunson would be as good as he is. But yeah, I mean, it comes down to, yeah, I mean, but if you're the Knicks and you say, all right, well, this Detroit is going to get Giannis Antetokounmpo, they're going to take a leap above us. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't offer more than Detroit because the Knicks just don't have the draft capital to compete for with an offer for Giannis Antetokounmpo. So if Milwaukee does a smart thing for the franchise, which is, all right, listen, we're going to lose the best player that's ever walked in this building. I know the old timer's going to kill me right now.
You're disrespecting Kareem out here.
All right. So at Lou Alcindor left, he won a championship there, but he left. So let's take the whole career. Yeah. Giannis had the best Milwaukee Bucks career for the franchise in history. So, if they do the right thing and say we need to start over, they're going to need rebuilding pieces. The Knicks don't have those pieces. They traded all of them for Mikal Bridges. So that's the reality. And if I'm Milwaukee, I don't want Cat. Why would you want Cat? What are you going to do with Cat? You know
just
what I mean?
To flip him. I think it would more likely be Cat goes to a third team. You mentioned San Antonio earlier, but I think San Antonio might actually be interested in Giannis if they're getting in a deal. Yeah, so that's like the other difficult thing about it.
What team? Tell me, what team wants Cat?
You would know better than both of us.
I mean, I don't know.
If Steph is throwing the question at us, the answer is nobody.
I don't know. I mean,
and it's not even. I don't even think
canvas the league. Like let's look logically. Yeah. What team wants Cat?
Yeah, and I don't think.
Honestly, I've thought about this, Steph. I've really thought about this in like the last 24 hours or so, and I really could not come up with somebody good other than teams desperate or poorly run. I.e., Sacramento,
Phoenix.
Okay,
if
maybe Phoenix, they want to get him back with his boy Devin Booker.
Sacramento doesn't make sense because they're so bad that why take on?
Why would you take on that contract, right? And he's going to be he's trying to get an extension. That too.
Right.
Phoenix is another team I would talk about just because they're so desperate to get another star.
I can see Phoenix. I can see Phoenix just because that owner's like, man, I don't want to be bad. And
they've been better than I thought this year. So.
Yeah, and they're playing better. So. I mean, if you can get a Phoenix in the mix, I think their cap situation is so bad.
Yeah, it is.
That it's like you can't just start moving pieces around and expect them to be the third team to facilitate a trade unless every contract lines up perfectly.
Right, and the contract that lines up with Cats is Anthony Davis, and then who does that make sense for? What's the point of doing a Giannis, Towns, Anthony Davis three-way trade for everybody involved?
I mean, like, all right, so you get Memphis. Because they want to get rid of Ja.
If they do. But
if they do, Trae Young, Atlanta. I mean,
no.
There's not a hand in glove fit to everyone's point up here. Like, and it's not even to disrespect Cat. What the contract is the contract.
You know what might be the hand in glove fit? Trading him back to Minnesota for Julius Randle. Just saying. I mean, when you think
that'd be
awkward. It would be. It would be awkward, but in a way, it's almost like, oh, that's the perfect retrade. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just in a way, it's kind of that. Steph, I agree with you, and I think it's going to be disappointing for most of the fan base. I'm sure we'll talk about this more, but I guess I'll ask this: the longer this goes on, until we hear Giannis actually make a demand or actual trade request, and now he's injured 2 to 4 weeks. Some people think that's a conspiracy, but I'm not going to go there. The longer this goes on, do you think this could become a distraction for this Knicks team? You know, when we're in the locker room, I mean, obviously it's going to be part of your job and to ask these questions, and it's going to come up. But do you think this could become a distraction for this team?
I mean, it's possible. Listen, I think with Cat's situation, let's just talk about Cat, because he's going to be the guy that's thrown out there just because his salary matches up perfectly with Giannis. Cat, you know, he did not come to an agreement on an extension in the offseason. And I understand why from a Knicks perspective. It doesn't make sense. He still has plenty of years left on his contract and a lot of money. But if you're Cat, I'm all NBA. I'm an all-star. Why didn't you pay me? And now I'm involved in trade rumors. That can get in a guy's head. You know, so you know, I could see it happening. You know, but it's hard for me to predict how the players are going to react to something like that.
Yeah, it really is. All right, I want to move off Giannis for a little bit. You and I think it was when we were in Brooklyn last week. We were doing a video and you brought up the fact about the Knicks still needing to fix the backup point guard problem. And in that video, you said, hey, you said you reported that the Knicks have been interested in Chris Paul for quite some time. Now, Chris Paul, they sent him home out there in LA.
All right, so I want to backtrack there.
Okay, go.
I didn't say they were interested in him. I said they talked about the idea of trading for him.
Trading for him. Thank you.
And,
so we can be specific.
And why do you think they did? They were talking about it at that time because they knew that shit was, that stuff was.
You're good.
You can curse.
Shit was fucked up with him in LA, and that he was available.
Okay. And you said that at the time, and when we did the video, I was like, that's interesting. And I thought it was interesting. And now obviously we know more of the stuff, and that makes perfect sense in what you're saying about why the Knicks would have been interested in trading for him at that time.
Not interested in trading for him, interested in talking about trading.
In talking about trading for him. Sorry, that is a difference. Interested in starting talks potentially about even getting him. Okay. Yeah. Some people are going to hear that, and some fans love names. Right? You and I think are very similar. We're like, yo, what have you done for me lately? And what can you do on the court right now? Does it make any sense, even if Chris Paul is waived, to bring him here to New York into this locker room? Steph is like, nope, don't do it.
No.
Chris Paul's one of the greatest point guards of all time, Steph. But you and I know, tons of people know in NBA circles, in the workplace, it could be a little difficult. Yeah. He's not everybody's cup of tea.
Alpha dog, and he wants to listen. Ty Lue, who everybody I know Ty Lue a little bit, not that much, but everybody tells me he's the greatest guy in the world. He's a player's coach. Everybody loves him that plays for him.
Yep.
Ty Lue wouldn't talk to the guy, right? That's a report. I wouldn't bring. He's 40 years old now. He's gonna want to do things his way. He played 82 games last season, right? And I heard. This is the rumor. I heard he basically convinced the Spurs, we're not going to practice because I want to play 82 games. So he gets in a situation like this. I don't think it's the right fit. I just don't think that it's a situation where the Knicks need a leader like that right now. They have Jalen Brunson. He's the leader of this team. You don't bring a 40-year-old Chris Paul into the mix that's going to want to basically assert himself, you know, and be that opinionated and want to do things that his way. I just don't think it's a good fit.
Yeah. So with that being said, the Knicks have a backup point guard problem. Bryan and I have been talking about this for weeks. Tyler Kolek has gotten a shot, I would say, with last 5-6 games. He's been getting some minutes, about 15 minutes a game. But like, if we're being honest, hasn't gone so well, right? Like it's been really up and down. What do the Knicks do? How urgent is it for them to address this issue, especially when you know it's a Jalen Brunson injury away from being a complete disaster? How urgently do they want to address the backup point guard issue?
I think it's important because what are the minutes doing for the starters? They're going up. They're going up, and they're going up because the bench has been bad.
Yep.
Guerschon Yabusele's been bad. Tyler Kolek has been putting up decent numbers offensively, but every time he's on the floor, the team gets outscored. So they have to sub him out. And now we're back in a situation where it's like, well, the Stars are playing the same minutes that they were playing last season under Tibbs, and we were killing Tibbs for that, right? Everybody was killing Tibbs. So they need a bench. They need players they can rely on. I think Mike Brown is willing to play players he can rely on, but he is not confident in the bench right now. And so, forget about what you think about Tyler Kolek, whether he's been playing good or bad. It's clear that Mike Brown doesn't feel very confident in him right now. Because you need a guy that's going to play more than 10 minutes. You need a guy that's going to reduce the number of minutes for Jalen Brunson, because right now he's playing too many minutes. Mikal Bridges is playing too many minutes. Josh Hart is a backup to playing too many minutes. Theoretically, I mean, we can have the minutes debate, but I think that it is important for everybody involved that they get an upgrade in the backup point guard position. This has been a problem since they traded Emmanuel Quickly. Basically, they haven't had a backup point guard. Last season they used Campaign every now and then, and sometimes it worked. Most of the time it didn't. They brought DeLon Wright. That really wasn't, the solve there. So, Malcolm Brogdon then retired. So I think that this is an issue that's been lingering over the scene for a while, and they haven't solved it, and I don't think it's solved right now.
I would agree with that. Are there other non-Chris Paul options that you expect the Knicks to look into between now and February's trade deadline, or perhaps even extending to the buyout market if you can't trade for somebody? Because it looks like this awkward situation where they, from the 2024 draft class, Tyler Kolek's getting an opportunity, and then the other two guys you drafted are unplayable, all at positions of seemingly of need for the Knicks.
Yeah, so I'm looking at I was looking down because I was looking at my phone, because I wrote a story about this yesterday, and I quizzed a couple executives around the NBA, and this is not who the Knicks are interested in. This is who the executives around the NBA think will become available. Trey Jones, Colin Sexton, who would be very difficult to trade for just because it's
he's making like $19 million this year, right? Something like that.
Yeah. D'Angelo Russell. Nope. Don't touch him.
Steph, I have to say that was hilarious in your newsletter where you just were like, nope, to D'Angelo Russell.
Nah,
don't go there.
That's the opposite direction of where you want to go. Here's a good one. Jose Alvarado.
I like this.
Yes.
That's Brian's boy.
Yes.
I like it. I like
yes, it is.
That's Brian's boy right there.
Covered him in high school a little bit.
Is he Puerto Rican?
Yes, he is.
He's
actually the best player on our national team, because Julian Strawther hasn't played yet and is injured right now. I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, Jose Alvarado would be. I think Jose Alvarado would be in a lot of ways the perfect Jalen Brunson backup. Just from a shooting defensive standpoint, and also he's from here. He gets the city. Like, he's actually the type of perfect 9th, 10th man that the Garden would all appreciate if you can get him. And New Orleans is, I don't know to what degree they're going to fire sale, because Zion Williamson has an NFL contract and Trey Murphy has a deal, but he's always in and out of the injury report. But I think if the Pelicans are going to sell off guys, like, I don't know, I'd be interested in getting Jose Alvarado if I were the Knicks.
And he has the best nickname.
Grand Theft Alvarado. That's great.
Steph, do you think though that regarding the 2024 class specifically, do you think they're willing to move off of, I guess, all of them or a couple of them to upgrade at some of these spots on the roster that we're talking about? Like, do you think they're really tied to the development of a Tyler Kolek, of a Pacome Dadier, or of a Ariel Hawkporty at this point?
I think that this team is all in on trying to win now. So yeah, if you can get guys that will help you win now, I think they have no problems getting off those guys. The problem is that they don't have much value. So you're getting off of Pacome Dadier for what? Like, you have to give up assets to kind of
a 2nd round pick.
Yeah, like, to get off of his contract. So yeah, I don't think that they're tied to that group right now.
And should we not expect them to, I guess, play at any point? Like, does Mike Brown just not see it in them, I guess?
I think in a pinch, Ariel Hawkporty had to play yesterday, right?
He did.
Ty Hill, he showed that he, when they don't have any options, he'll certainly put Tyler Kolek in the rotation. The one guy that's just, she's like, hell no, is Pacome Dadier.
Yeah,
after starting him in preseason.
Yeah, well, hey, we knew what was going on there.
Yeah, that was a little showcasing of that showcase.
Yeah. Well, hey, they weren't trying to trade anybody. You're just showcasing Pacome Dadier for no reason.
Yeah, come on. You're not fooling us who watch
Yeah.
this a little bit. With the options you mentioned, I know that you like Jose Alvarado. You think you're with Bryan on this, Steph. Do you think he would be a good backup point guard fit for the Knicks?
I do. I mean, listen, he's limited offensively.
Right.
He's short, but the guy is a competitor and he's a veteran and he knows what he's doing. And I think you need that, and that would be a good backup point guard option.
Yeah, no, I think you would be. I
He
don't
defends
know.
too for his
Yeah, he
size. He
defends.
defends well
He's
for his size.
scrappy. I agree with Bryan. He gets it. He's from here. Is that let's talk OG Anunoby. You had broke some news earlier. League sources saying that he will be questionable for tomorrow's game against the Jazz. Feels like pretty big news for the Knicks. I don't know if we expect to see him back before the NBA Cup game up in Toronto on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think either this game or the one against Orlando. He's going to be back.
All right, this is huge for the Knicks and their defense there.
Was this expected initially, or is this like earlier?
I mean,
maybe
I wish I could tell you that I knew this was coming. I didn't, but you know, OG's a quiet guy, so I didn't have any insight until it happened. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge for the Knicks to have him back. With their defenses looked decent, except for the Boston game. That's kind of where I wanted to go next. What were your takeaways from what we've seen with them this week? Because you had a good win on Sunday at Toronto. Boston was a strange game there, and then Brunson probably had his worst game as a Knick that we've ever seen. And then they bounced back against Charlotte last night. What are your takeaways from what you saw in Boston and Charlotte specifically? The way they bounced back from that loss in Boston.
I mean, it's pretty like the trend is they're just really a lot better at home. And for whatever reason, I mean, we've seen this with different teams before where they're just a completely different team at home. Now, I get it. The Hornets are certainly not a very good squad, and they've had a pretty easy schedule overall at home, especially. So, you know, that factors into it. But, you know, at this point, they're 11-1 at home, right? And they're 3-6, 3-7 on the road. So that's a big difference, man. And you know, I think that's a big factor in the way they play for whatever reason. And there are different reasons why that home court advantage works out. You get to sleep in your own bed. Your familiarity with the rims and the court. The home crowd just boosts your adrenaline when you hit a shot. They're behind you. So for whatever reason, this team is a lot better at home. We had not seen that in previous seasons. It was more even, more balanced between home and away. But this season, it's definitely been just a glaring difference, home and away.
Yeah, and it feels like it's gonna be very imperative. I'm just go really quickly to these next two games, Utah and then Orlando. We both will be at those games. How imperative is them to build on those games? But then, you know, when you look ahead to that NBA Cup game on Tuesday, with a chance to go to Vegas, which I know you're dying to go to, Steph. How important is them for to take care of business at home and then try to finally beat a good team on the road too? So these next two games, then you have Toronto. Bryan's been harping on this. They haven't beat anybody good on the road. How important is this next stretch of games? And even Orlando in there on Sunday, who's giving them fits.
All right, forget about Utah. What's Utah's record? They stink again.
Utah, I think, has 5 or 6 wins, if I'm not mistaken.
A little bit better. They still stink. So they should win that game. I'm looking at that Orlando game. Orlando's the only team that beat them at home so far. So that's a big game. Orlando's had their
Utah has 7 wins. My bad. I'm sorry. 7
so Utah's doing all right. But I still expect the Knicks to win that game. I'm not really sure that Toronto's good yet. I mean, you know, I get it. They started hot. Brandon Ingram is, you know, played well. But I look at that team. I think that they're going to come back down to earth at some point. I know people were really high on Philly early in the season. They came back down to earth. Chicago came back down to earth. I think that they're kind of in that category. I'm not really sold on Toronto yet. So, you know, you say I'm really excited about Vegas. I think I'm going to go to Vegas.
There you go. That's a conversation Steph and I had off. Go ahead.
I will note that Paolo Banchero may actually play in this game because Here's a question. He has been upgraded to questionable. Coincidentally, the game that they won in New York was the game Paolo Banchero got hurt, and people have questions about how they'll fit, they being Orlando, when Paolo returns. Steph, I wanted to ask you
Wait,
about
can I back up? Because I talked to
yeah.
a scout at the Boston game, and I
Mm.
mentioned that, and he said, "Are they better with Banchero?" Because I don't think so.
Yo, it's
It's going
because
around.
last week we had a guest on to preview their last game against the Magic, or 2 weeks ago, I should say. And I was on their show. They asked me to come as guest, and that question was brought up too. Now, a lot of people around the Magic are unsure about this, but I've also heard some things behind the scenes about him and the coach, maybe not
Okay.
necessarily meshing that
Okay.
well. But I have that question too. I think it's a fair question. Are they better without him? And maybe
I mean,
Franz
he's
leading the
so
way. It
you know,
doesn't really.
obviously he's a talented player and he can score down low, but he's not a very good shooter.
Nope.
So the floor spacing gets kind of messed up, and he wants the ball in his hands. So, in my opinion, after watching them, a few times, the ball is better off in Franz Wagner's hands.
I'm inclined to agree. Yeah, go ahead, Brian. Sorry, we stopped your question.
Just wanted to ask about Mitchell Robinson a little more specifically. Not starting anymore, and still a situation where obviously he'll be monitored on a day-to-day basis in terms of his availability. But I guess where are the Knicks at with him? And I thought about him even as we talked about Giannis. Not to say that he'll specifically be in that package if the Knicks were to offer him, but is he someone that may pop up in trade talks given just the weirdness around the situation this year?
Yeah, I mean, not just that, but he's the only expiring contract. So
That too. Yeah.
the Knicks have shown that if they understand they're not going to bring a guy back, they're going to be willing to trade him. So yeah, I mean, I expect his name to pop up in rumors, and I don't think it would be smart to trade him right now because you're selling low. Because if you're a team trying to take him on, you're gonna take him on with the idea that you're gonna pay him too, because you're not
Right,
gonna
right.
trade him and then let him become an unrestricted free agent right after you trade for him. So you're gonna give him money, you're gonna give him that extension. And if I'm another team, I'm looking at his, like you said, availability, and I'm saying I'm not prepared to give him a big contract yet. So I think he stays with the team just because of that, because I don't think his value is very high right now. But he is an expiring contract, and just that alone can be valuable in the trade market.
Last thing for me here, Steph. We're just past the quarter mark part of the season for the Knicks. Can't believe it's gone by so quickly. If you had to give them a grade at this point, especially under new head coach Mike Brown, what would be your quarter mark grade for the Knicks right now?
B.
I feel like that's
fully
fair.
agree.
Yeah,
I feel like that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, their schedules, they have a good record, and they're not blowing anybody. They didn't come out the gates like OKC, blowing out everybody and with an amazing dominant record, but they have a good record, certainly. I think their schedule's been very simple and easy, but I think when you bring in a new coach, there was this expectation that there would be an adjustment period, and they've handled that very well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think one of the things I've kind of recognizing just in what we do is that where this team is in their expectations, you have a week like this week, they've won 5 out of 6 games, and all everybody's talking about is the Boston loss, right? Because of how it looked and how that played out. But this is where we are. And the Giannis rumors are going to continue. That, everybody, is Stephan Bondi. Check him out, aka Steph. I'm not even going to say Steph Adamas. I was going to try to do it again. That it's just
the rock him
work.
of sports writing, according to Chuck D.
The day it doesn't work. Steph, I will see. You're at the game tomorrow, right? You'll be there tomorrow.
I am. I'll be there.
I will see you tomorrow night at the Garden. We appreciate you, man. Thank you.
All right, bro.
All right. Once again, Stefan Bondy, check him out. NYPost.com, doing a great job covering the Knicks for us here and being able to give us some time on that. Good conversation there with Steph. Bryan, a lot of interesting stuff. I think Steph notes perfectly that this team will definitely listen. I think if they have a chance to go get in Giannis and Giannis says he wants only them, he's only eyes for New York, the Knicks are going to get in this.
Do you think he would do that though? I mean, Windhorse might say that he already did.
I don't know if he's going to do it. I'm going to take what Steph said. He's not going to be Steph. He's not going to be Steph.
He's not going to do a public.
He's not going to be James Harden or Kevin Durant on this. He's not going to go. That's not how he's going to get down.
So if that's the case, then you're ultimately not going to get what you want, because like he'll get traded. But if like
I agree with you on this.
You get what I'm saying? Like Damian Lillard, for example, really wanted to go to the Heat. Chris Haynes kept saying he wanted to go to the Heat, but Damian Lillard didn't want to make it messy and ultimately caved and accepted the trade to Milwaukee, for better or worse.
Yeah,
like
he didn't get what he wanted. You're 100%. That's a great example. You're 100% right.
He had Miami, and then they were like, maybe Brooklyn, whatever. And then Milwaukee ended up doing the trade. And, it didn't work out ultimately because you needed more around Dame and Giannis. But I don't think it was like Dame and Giannis specifically as much as it was like everything else. But you have another more recent example, like whenever Jimmy Butler wants to get paid and the team he's on doesn't want to pay him, he makes sure he goes to a team that's going to pay him. He wanted Phoenix, and he was, Golden State. There were reports like he didn't want it, whatever. Like he ultimately was fine with Golden State. And it worked out for him. Like he got his contract immediately. They reported it like, oh, they already agreed to a max extension. And it's like, Jimmy Butler is one of the James Harden, Kevin Durant types where like they're not afraid to make it messy in order to get what they want. Honestly, LeBron's been like this too. LeBron has done this throughout his career. Also,
the thing about that is, and I'll even say that I don't think that Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant, maybe a little bit different in his primes than James Harden at one point. But I don't think they even would wield the power that like Giannis would. Giannis in his prime is more closer to what like LeBron, the power that he could wield on the league in terms of changing the landscape, in terms of dominating what he wants.
Or KD going to Golden State.
Yeah, but that's at that. He was at the peak of his prime. These are very, very good things. And your example with Dame is perfect because
Dame said he wanted to go to the Heat. That was
he wanted to go to the Heat, and he did not. But he wasn't willing to get messy, and so. That's what happened.
He didn't. Same as Giannis, did not want to be the bad guy.
No, and here's the thing: sometimes you gotta be the bad guy. Sometimes you got. I think it's a lesson in life. Everybody ain't gonna like you. You can't be loved by everybody. Everybody's not gonna like everything you do. And sometimes to get what you want. I'm not talking about being an asshole and just crapping on people.
We don't want to endorse bad behavior either.
Right. I'm not saying that. And there are ramifications of it that I think sometimes doesn't get talked about, which is how that impacts your team or your teammates in the franchise. James Harden with the Rockets, even Jimmy Butler last year,
whatever. But you got to be a little shameless. Yeah. And you could only, to be clear, you could only afford to do this if you're a Giannis in your workplace.
Only certain people can do it, right? Know who you are. Have some self-awareness, right? If you ain't Giannis, you might not be able to move like this. Like this is something you have to understand. How it goes. This is something you have to understand. All right, we appreciate Steph joining us here. Want to get something? It happened yesterday, but we have a new episode of New York Got Game coming out, and it is very different than anything that's coming out tonight. Yeah. It's very different than anything we've done before. It is. It was challenging. It was a little bit painful. It challenged Bryan. It challenged myself. It challenged our production team. Our editor. It challenged everybody. It was different. We have the clip to play so you can get a first look of this new episode of New York Got Game. That is coming, and you're going to get to see me in some pain. Here you go.
I don't know if we have sound on it.
I'm not hearing the audio on it.
I'm not either, but I think the reaction is enough.
Here's all you need to know, people. We'll play it again for you when we get the audio situated. Bryan and I took some hot takes. And are we playing it? Here we go.
We haven't done 5 yet.
My entire mouth is on fire. Do you see my eyes? Do you see the pain I'm in right there?
Yeah. Look, we haven't done 5 yet.
My entire mouth is on fire. All right. So that is from.
I hope that doesn't get memed.
Oh, it might. That is from the episode we just did where we gave our hottest Knicks takes, and it is out right now, so you can go check that out. New York Post Sports YouTube channel. You're right here anyway, so when you're done watching this, you can go watch that. Bryan and I gave our hottest Knicks takes, but there was a little twist to it. We had some pretzel bites, and we had 5 different levels of hot sauces that we had to dip the pretzel bites in. And as we explained our takes, the other person had to rank what level of take it was from 1 to 5. And whatever take they determined, you had to then dip your pretzel in the hot sauce and eat it. And that was me. I believe that was when I had the 4th, which was the second hottest hot sauce that I tasted that day. That was my face on the second one.
Yeah, because I pointed out in the video clip that we played, that's not even the 5th level.
It's not even the 5th level.
The 4th level was horrendous.
I think we had some good hot takes. I survived. Shout out to Nikolai Jackson, our technical director, who we still kind of blame for all of this.
Great idea.
Also,
Also kind of aged well overnight because the Giannis thing picked up before we even because we recorded this before a lot of this went to another gear, obviously before the injury.
Slight spoiler for the people. If you watch the episode, there is a Giannis taken there, or 2 things that are actually connected to Giannis that I think the Knicks fans will find very, very interesting in there. So please, it's a good discussion. I think our takes were rational. We're not. If y'all want the people to say the crazy takes with no substance behind it, you know where to go for that. We don't do that here. But I think our takes were pretty rational. That doesn't mean some of them weren't out there. That doesn't mean some of them were not likely to happen. But we did have some rationale behind it. We'll put it like that. There was some thought behind this and where these things could go. So definitely do check that out. New York Post Sports YouTube channel. Myself and Bryan. Very, very spicy takes. Very, very spicy food we had to consume. Shout out to everybody that is tuned in. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Once again, shout out
to the chat. The Julius Randle thing was a joke. Like, y'all could calm down. We're not advocating for a retrade.
Yeah, like that. Come on.
Shout out to Size 9 and everyone else watching right now.
You got Size 9 mixing it up. Started out with all caps and then went to lowercase and now back. Mixing it up today.
He's not a Mitchell Robinson guy either. He made that clear. He said, "Get Mitch the F out of here." He called him selfish.
Size 9. I'm gonna say this to you. Watch the hot takes episode. You might agree with one of the takes.
Oh, that's true.
You might agree with one of the takes based on. I'm telling you, watch the episode, my guy. You might be coming here like, I told you.
Again, not to spoil one of the things that I said in the episode, but he's very important to the Knicks potentially winning a title, which is also frightening that he is.
Yeah. There's actually a couple things I realized now. There's 2 things related to Mitchell Robinson there. Yeah. Size 9. I think this is an episode for you. All right. Before we're gonna get to real or not, before we do that, I want to revisit something that we did early in the offseason, and we looked at fake Giannis trades or made up Giannis trades. And we'll pull you guys behind the curtain. Bryan and I were actually a little bit reluctant to even do this at first because we were kind of like, what's the point? But now this talk is like definitely heated up. This is really interesting. So I think what we talked about with Steph is saying that, look, in an ideal world for the Knicks, ideal world in making this trade, it's probably going to start. It's absolutely would start with karl-Anthony Towns, right? If I'm Milwaukee, would I do that? Would I want that? No. I'd be probably trying to take the Knicks wings if I could. Just because there's more upside to flipping those guys because we are struggling to come up with a cat trade. Bryan said you could flip Cat. I think it's not unreasonable with what he would have left on his contract. He also wants an extension. And I'm telling you another thing. I mean, Cat was in Minnesota. I'm sure he doesn't want to be in Milwaukee. Sorry, Milwaukee. No shade, but
and Milwaukee should. I mean, Milwaukee is they're screwed. Like they're assed out once this deal happens.
In terms of rebuilding,
they need rebuilding pieces because for people who may not remember, they waived and stretched Damian Lillard. So they're going to owe him north of $22 million, I think it is, for the next 5 years, including this one. So 4 more seasons of just an excess of $20 million of dead money on their books, which limits them even more beyond the current CBA situation. So and that's after just signing Miles Turner, who all of a sudden may become a trade piece. He's not trade eligible yet by virtue of signing with them this offseason, but he probably will be. He probably will want to get off Kyle Kuzma's contract. Bobby Portis has been in trade rumors for multiple years. They found something in Ryan Rollins. We'll see. But they're looking for rebuilding pieces, and that's a sort of difficult thing. It's like, and this is what we talked about yesterday, so I won't get too much into it. But you have a lot of teams in the East who are ascending, whereas it feels like with the Knicks, you have a lot of guys in their primes. And I don't think Milwaukee's going to be too interested in that. Like, if this becomes a race between who has the best package, like a legitimate sweepstakes, who has the best package, the Knicks won't win that.
No,
they will not win that.
The only way they win this is if Giannis says, "I'm going there," and else, and Milwaukee wants to do right by him, more than they want to do right by the franchise.
Yes,
that's the and that's a lot of ifs, and it's a perfect storm. So I say, not saying it can't happen. But I think it needs to be noted that people, because, I think everybody likes to talk about things like zero-sum games. And if this doesn't happen, the Knicks don't get Milwaukee. It's not get Giannis. It's not a failure, right? Some people are going to look at it like that because I don't think they look at the trade ramifications and the salary cap and the aprons and all this other stuff. The Knicks are not going to be able to do the Knicks. It's just, it had a perfect storm has to align here. I'm not saying it's impossible, because I actually don't think it's impossible. I think it's very possible.
I think
that Giannis goes to them and says, "This is where I want to go." Now, the other factor in that is they also have to want to do right by him more than they want to do right by the franchise. We just mentioned Damian Lillard. You know what Portland chose to do? Do right by the franchise.
They even talked to Miami.
Right.
They were not even trying to entertain
because
Miami.
Because it's the same thing. Miami could not give them a good offer as what Milwaukee did. It was the same.
Although they would have had Tyler Hero. They would have had, like, what did they ultimately get? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, they
got the relief and flexibility with some salaries, and I think that was better than the picks.
And I think that's Kamara, I guess. But ultimately, like, comparatively, Miami's package, whatever the package would have ended up being, it
was all right. It was all right. I don't think, but it's not what they wanted. They wanted, I think, more flexible contract. I think that's what it comes down to. They wanted more flexibility in the contract. Not whether you think Tyler Hero's the best player in the deal or not. And you and I talked about this a lot at the time.
He's not my favorite player in the NBA.
He's not your cup of tea. We know that for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So
he came back, and suddenly the Heat's offense has been a lot less fun. Mysteriously, he's getting his numbers though. Happy for him.
Oh, he's happy too. Get your numbers in South Beach.
Trying to get a new contract.
Might not be there. All right. What I'd like to do before our producer Tommy is here, if you can bring up the trade machine. I just want to go through some stuff just again to reiterate what this could look like in terms of a trade with Giannis Antetokounmpo. So you've got Giannis Antetokounmpo and trying to get him to the Knicks. Now, if you do it with karl-Anthony Towns, okay, and you bring karl-Anthony Towns into the trade machine there, it's interesting. The salaries are very close. Now, you're also wondering, why did Steph talk about bringing Kyle Kuzma over to the Knicks? And sometimes I just want this to be explained in trades. You got to give up something to get something, and sometimes you have to take back other people's crap. I'm not saying that Kyle Kuzma is crap, but he hasn't played like we saw him play for, let's say, like the Lakers in 2020 in quite some time. It's been a while. He did not have a good tenure with the Wizards.
He had one good year with the Wizards.
One good year. Oh, sorry. Second year was not good. You're right about that. The Bucks would love to get off his contract. Love to. So it's like, if we're going to get Giannis out the door, we also want to get some cap relief. So I'm going to say this right now. If you're the Knicks, you're taking, and you get Giannis, you're bringing back Kyle Kuzma here. You're taking Would you call? Is it fair? Would it fair to say he's a bad contract, Brian? You say he's a bad contract?
It's not a great contract. I
Not
mean, it's
great.
funny.
I won't call it terrible.
It's funny because when he signed it, the way he was playing for the Wizards, it looked like a
It
steal.
looked like a good deal.
Because he had like back-to-back career years. He had 2 good years with the Wizards. And the problem is that since then, he hasn't been able to replicate that consistently. I will say this though, it is a descending short-term contract, and the Knicks have all their money tied up in guys that they've since extended.
Yep.
Kyle Kuzma would have 1 year left. So kind of like where the Mets traded Brandon Nimmo for Marcus Semien, and the contract for Brandon Nimmo runs for like 5 seasons, whereas Marcus Semien's is for 3. This is kind of what this would be. It would be like you get Kuzma back and you're giving up one of your better players who's on the books for longer, but Kuzma is going to make $22 million this year and then $20 million next year, and that's it.
I mean, Kuzma could help the Knicks if they have some size. Now, if you add to that with Cat going out to Milwaukee, Giannis coming into New York, Kuzma coming to New York, now you got to add, okay, can you give them some young talent? Brian, are you willing to give up Deuce McBride? See?
Listen.
Young, cheap talent. Good. One of the best contracts in the NBA. You want to talk about good? This is one of the best contracts in the NBA.
If you really want Giannis, Deuce McBride can't be a deal breaker. So for now, I will say yes. The problem is if this becomes like a 4-for-2 deal, then I don't know if I could do it. Like, because for me, the perfect scenario, and obviously the perfect scenario is unlikely for the reasons we laid out, but the perfect scenario is in the deal, you're able to give up Cat, pick swaps, and a couple of the young guys, but like not Deuce, like for the 2024 class. But if you're Milwaukee, it's like, well, we don't probably like Bacone Tadier much or Kyler Kolek much or Ariel Hawkporty much either. You know what I mean? Unless there's somebody in Milwaukee who, you know, may have scouted him and they think that they can do something with that. But Deuce, I'd be hesitant.
I agree.
Put him in. Put him in for now.
Let's put him in a trade. So let's have Cat and Deuce going over there. We're gonna have them both going over there, right? And then we're gonna have Giannis. Okay, and we're gonna put Kyle Kuzma.
We need 18 million roughly.
All right.
Still,
we still need.
This isn't gonna work. This isn't gonna work yet. You still need to add roughly 18, 17, 19, something like that $1 million. So scroll down a little bit. Yeah. And that's where Josh Hart comes into play.
Yep.
That's the problem.
And that is it. And so some people may say, well, you're gonna want to give up Mikal Bridges, who just signed an extension.
Frank Ntilikina. He came up yesterday.
It's 2 days in a row.
2 days in a row. Yesterday and in the watch along Tuesday. Frank
That's
Ntilikina.
crazy. This is Josh Hart. Let's put Josh Hart in there.
Yeah.
But let's move him over there.
And keep in mind, we won't do the picks, but just understand, obviously, you're not getting Giannis without picks. Like every pick swap you have, because the Knicks don't have a lot more picks to trade because of the Mikal Bridges deal, whatever second round picks you have left, and they do have some of those, even though those have less value. And I think you can trade 3 pick swaps, if I'm not mistaken. I think you have 3 pick swaps available to trade. The actual pick situation is a little murky, but you can swap. And look, if the Knicks are playing for a win now window, if you're Milwaukee, you probably will want their swaps because that might be beneficial down the line.
So this one does not work, correct? Are we?
I don't think, but let's see.
We're too far over.
Let's see. I didn't think so. Yeah. See, and if you're the Knicks, this is why if it's not Towns alone.
Yep.
Like if you have to take Kuzma back, that's where it gets difficult because then it's like, all right, you have to gut your roster
because there's so much money you have to get going out. Okay, I don't think this will happen, so I want to be very clear about what I'm going to say.
But we have to show you why.
But we have to show you why
the fantasy trades won't all work, basically,
or why it's so hard to do. Let's say you're only getting Giannis. I don't think that's going to happen, but let's just say that's going to happen, right? So you take Kuzma out, take Josh Hart out, okay?
Take Deuce out. Start from square one.
Take Deuce out for now. Now, let's say you can sell the Bucks on some cheap young talent you have with upside. You're on the phone. You're like, hey, man, you got to be interested in this Tyler Kolek guy. He's a point guard of the future, even though you might not believe that. You got to say this. Let's put Tyler Kolek up in there. Okay?
If I'm Milwaukee, I'm like, bro,
Let's put Pacome Dadier in there.
Okay.
All right. Now, assuming you're adding picks to this,
Yes.
let's try this trade. It is success. However,
you're taking back Thanasis. Like that's the other look. Once a Nick, always a Nick.
Once a Nick, always a Nick. You won't put Thanasis in there. Yeah, sure. Let's put Thanasis in there.
Look, the brother is coming. And they'll probably waive Alex Antetokounmpo, and then you're signing him to a two-way.
Oh, Thanasis, no.
No, but guess what? Then you add Ariel Hukporti.
Okay, so add it, yes, because you got to get the money. You got to get the money back closer.
That's all. But if I'm Milwaukee, I'm not doing this. No way.
So they're not going to. That doesn't. That doesn't work.
You know why? You know why? Because Thanasis is prorated. I think
prorated. It's no, you're right about that. His contract is prorated, not fully guaranteed like Hukporti is.
Yeah, if I'm Milwaukee, I'm not interested in any of this.
You're not doing that. And here's the thing:
the Knicks need a third team. I think they're going to need a third team. It still might cost. It still is probably going to cost Towns for financial reasons, but I think Towns is going to team 3.
I think when you get the third team involved, you're more likely to really gut your bench.
That's probably true because team 3 will be like, all right, so we want OG, we want Josh Hart, but this is the problem, right? So then you could be like, all right, then if you're a Knicks fan, you're probably like, all right, then we don't need Giannis then. Okay, then what if Miami pulls it off? What if Detroit pulls it off? What if Orlando pulls it off?
But sometimes
that's kind of
that's where you are. Sometimes it's where you are, and sometimes other teams have more assets than you.
I think it's different from like Miami missing out on Dame and Milwaukee getting him. Even though ultimately
I know what you're saying is because of where the Knicks are right now and how it feels like it's so close and the East being so open.
So that Miami was coming off a finals appearance at that point, and they tried to get Dame, but I think not getting Dame was the start of torpedoing Jimmy's time there, right?
I don't disagree with that.
I don't think this is the same in that regard, but I think it's also like it's Giannis, and if this is your window now, because you would be the only team as far as teams in the Eastern Conference go that we're talking about, unless you think Cleveland could get Giannis, you're a team that's like, oh, they could actually get Giannis now and be like set, like the contender, whereas these other teams get them and they're ascending, and it's like, oh, now they can potentially pass you or compete with you, and they're gonna have other guys getting better.
But it's all everything you said there is right. You're not wrong. It all comes down to you got to pray for one thing, that Giannis wants you and only you, and the Bucks are so willing to do right by him. That's what this comes down to, right? Because when you don't, it's not like everybody in the NBA has the same amount of assets and are playing at the same level and could go trade. That's not how it works. Everybody's not playing the same game. Everybody tries to get, if this is a sweepstakes, to use the word you had said, Bryan, everybody's not playing started off with the same amount of monopoly money. This is not what this is. So the Knicks, sometimes with trades, you need things to line up in your favor. You either need to have the assets, or sometimes, in this case, we don't have this. You need Nico Harrison. You understand what I'm saying? If Nico Harrison is here and he's just willing to give away a Giannis for nothing, the Bucks don't got Nico Harrison in their front office. That's all I'm saying. They don't got that. Now, based on the Doncic trade, stranger things have happened.
I think waiving and stretching Damian Lillard it might be worse than trading Luka Doncic to the Lakers. So, that is a ridiculous $22 million in dead money for 5 years. Like the Bucks are fucked.
Is that worse than giving up a generational talent though?
They're not going to be good for at least 5 years. Like there's a decent chance they're never in the playoffs. That entire time, we're almost over $20 million of dead money are on their books. I don't know where. Those are the two worst moves of NBA GMing for the last 5 years.
The
Trading
only other
Luka,
move I think about is maybe New Orleans, that trade they made to get the pick for that became Derek Queen. I didn't understand that either.
Oh,
but
that pick is going to be so valuable. Queen is at least I like.
he's
Queen
good.
now,
I like
but
Queen, but was it worth making that move? I don't know about that.
no.
Shout out to Nostalgic Nick
Yeah.
in the chat. Nostalgic Nick says Giannis is on the way.
I do think we should talk more about, like, not today because we're over and we still got to do real or not, but in general, like, I feel like Thanasis has to be in this deal.
Look, man, whatever. I don't know. Like,
the only other thing I could think of is like Thanasis gets bought out and joins them anyway. You know what I mean? But I think Thanasis is following him to New York, and I think Alex might too. Alex is not an NBA player; he's in a two-way contract, but he's not. Bronny's better than Alex Antetokounmpo.
Look, the only other way you're making this deal, just before we go, we close down the trade machine. The only way you can make this deal is like you do some combination of OG and Josh Hart and picks. But do you want to give up that much depth?
No.
Wing depth specifically.
You can't give up all your wings.
Nah.
You know?
Listen, it's that cat trade. You're kind of hoping they're a little bit of a sucker for the 2024 class. And picks of what you got. Again, you know what I think? Can I be clear with this? And I don't want to spoil what we talked about in the hot ones, so people please check that out. The episode we did with the Heat and the hot takes. But the best case scenario for the Knicks, and I know everybody wants everything now, and you see the trade up here that is success with Josh Hart.
OG Hart swaps seconds for Giannis.
Yeah.
And look, and Milwaukee still might be like, no, we want better picks.
That's a problem. So this is where I'm going to. The better situation for the Knicks might be Giannis actually coming to the conclusion and saying, you know what? I was mad about that loss to the Wizards, but I'm gonna ride this one out this year
for at least
and get to draft night. Because if you get to draft night, everything changes. Now, I get it, Knicks fans. You don't want to hear that. You want Giannis now. You want to try to win now and think the window was small. And I'm not saying I disagree with you. We talk about this in our latest episode of New York Got Game about how big is the window, and could it really be smaller than maybe we think? So I understand where you're coming from, but the best option of them to get him where they can actually be in the sweepstakes is if this happens once the season is over and on draft night.
Yeah.
Now the Knicks will have another pick they could trade, another pick they could swap. That is huge here.
Yeah.
Huge here. If they get to draft night and Giannis, you listen, in a way for a Knicks fan, if you know other teams are going to be interested, and this could happen. Giannis could say he doesn't only have eyes for the Knicks, and he could open it up, and they get some offers from all these other teams. But then he says, "No, I really want to be in New York," and the Bucks will say, "Hey, if you want to be in New York, we get this done after the season."
Or Milwaukee just doesn't like any of the offers and is like, "We're not trading Giannis right now." Regardless of what he wants.
Because a lot of other people are going to have better. Now, here's the thing. Other people have better offers too after the season, because the same thing I mentioned for the Knicks is true for all other 29 teams, right? Like this is true as well too. So it's really interesting how this goes. And if, even though Shams has reported this should be resolved in the next couple of, in the timeline of the next month, which Giannis actually, his timeline to return is within the month, which is interesting. We'll see, but it's interesting. All right, let's close. We've gone overtime here. We appreciate everybody rocking with us here. Once again, check out that new episode of New York Got Game that is up now. The hot take episode, which is a really fun one that you guys should check out for sure. Let's do real or not. This real or not is really it. It's gonna be a little bit about the bench, because you heard Stefan Bondi talk about it and some struggles we've been seeing on the bench. Can we talk about Jordan Clarkson? Jordan Clarkson, not shooting the ball that great. Okay, shooting 31% from downtown.
Unfortunately, we're not too surprised.
No, he's really struggled on corner threes. Do you know what he's shooting on corner threes according to Cleaning the Glass?
You're going to tell me something like 15%.
16%.
Oh, look at that.
16%.
Price is right winner.
On corner threes. The worst that he's ever shot in the corner threes in his entire career is 27%. That was back in his rookie season, back in 2014, 2015, that season with the Lakers. Now, Jordan Clarkson's been a pretty good corner three shooter. He has not shot below 40% of corner threes since the 21-22 season in Utah. That season, he shot 34%. 34% would seem like amazing right now. That'd be double, more than double what he's shooting. He's shooting 16% on corner threes. And, okay, you're wondering, well, how many corner threes does he take? Well, 17% of his shot attempts are corner threes. Are these corner three struggles real for Jordan Clarkson? Or is this a situation of, eventually he's going to regress to the mean?
I mean, it's real that it's happened before, or it's real that it's happened to this point, I should say. But
Right.
no, I think it'll regress to the mean. It's early. It's kind of still small sample size ish, but I do think this is a product of he's playing more off the ball now. Whereas in Utah, he was averaging 16, 17 points a game last year and the year before.
And his assist rate is lower.
He was on the ball more. And Stefan Bondy, who we had on the show earlier, has repeatedly told us they don't see Jordan Clarkson as a backup point guard, even though he often would have that lead ball handler role in Utah. They see him as a shooting guard here, essentially, which he is. He is a shooting guard, but he's also been a lead guard in Utah more often than not, as evidenced by his usage rate, which is also down this year from 28 to 22. 22% usage rate is the least. That's the lowest of his career, actually.
Oh, wow.
The lowest of his career, 22. He was at 22.8 and 23 his first 2 years with the Lakers, and then settled into more of the Jordan Clarkson he eventually became. So, yeah, I think that's something to look out for in terms of an adjustment. But I do think he'll bounce back. I don't think he'll bounce back tremendously, though. I just think it'll regress a little positively. I don't know if he's going to get to like 30% shooting corner threes or whatever.
Damn.
You said he's been at 27% before. The usage is down. Like, I also wouldn't. To be fair, I also wouldn't sign Jordan Clarkson with the idea like, yeah, I'm going to have you make corner threes. That's not what he does. Like he can,
he's
but
better at it though. He's got better numbers than this.
No, that's true. But like, look, if Jordan Clark, he's running up the court and Tyler Kolek is handling when he's out there at times. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of think the ball should be in his hands a little bit more and have him create and just have a little bit less of a quick trigger. But I mean, you signed who you signed. Like, this is what he does.
I don't want to get all down on him because he is shooting like 69% at the rim, which for a guard is actually like really good. He's not a big and he's getting to the rim and is finishing pretty well. But I think it's something to keep an eye on, is what I will say. It is I do think it comes back a little bit up and he'll get into the 30s. I do think so. Listen, if he gets anywhere to where it was 4 years ago in Utah, where it was 34%, with the way he started, you will take that. I don't know if he's getting back to the 40% plus shooting from corner threes that he's had the last 3 years. I don't think they think that's happening, but if he can get it to, like I said, the low of where it was 4 years ago, I'm not bad at that. Okay.
Ironically, his true shooting is the best it's been in 3 seasons.
But that's a lot.
I don't think he's been that bad, by the way.
No, a lot of that has to do with the elite finishing at the rim.
Yes.
That's a lot of what it has to do. Which to some degree you want to say, hey, if you know the shot's not falling, at least he's still attacking.
Yeah. Assist percentage the lowest of his career, though. So
yeah. Mitchell Robinson. Can we talk about his abysmal free throw shooting? Do you know what Mitchell Robinson is shooting from the line right now?
3 for 17.
I don't even know what the exact attempts were, something like that. But that is,
I think it's exact because I said it after the Celtic game. I think he's 3 for 17 on the season.
That is 17%. Like, he's shooting just a percentage point more than Jordan Clarkson shooting on corner threes.
If you hit this in the majors, you'd be sent to the minors. 3 for 17. 17%.
Yeah, you did that over and over in the majors, and you batting 178 or whatever that. I think that's 178.
You're going to AAA.
Look, real or not, look, this is what I'm going to say. We know this has not been good for him with the free throw shooting, But here's the fact, people. This is the fact. It's getting worse. It's not getting better. That's not encouraging me. Sometimes you'll see guys be poor free throw shooters like 40, 45%. Eventually a year they figure it out to get up to 55, 58, maybe 60. It might even only be for a year or two, but they figure it out somehow. I think we should be concerned about this. I know there's only 17 free throws.
I agree.
But I think we should be concerned because can I play you on the floor in a playoff game? Can I play you against a madman like the coach up in Boston who's going to hack a Mitch, right? And you can't have it. He's going to play you right off the floor.
If he makes 7 of his next 17 free throws, he would be 10 for 34 on the season, which is 29%. And that's 7 out of 17. It's not even half, and it's more than double of what he's done so far.
I will take the bet that does not happen. If
the real is real or not, we should be worried. Yes, because over the course of his career, the percentage has literally gone 60, 57, 49, 48.6, 48.4, 41. Last year was 68, but it was only on 19 attempts. We saw what happened in the playoffs. And then 3 for 17 this year, where it's at 17%. Last year in the playoffs, by the way, he was 22 for 56, 39% on free throws. He's a 39% career playoff free throw shooter, as a matter of fact. And for his NBA career during the regular season, 51%.
If you're going to be a non-shooter, I always say you got to be elite at something. He is elite at offensive rebound. He is a really good defender.
Yes.
That's why he's in the league. I'm not going to go crazy the way Size 9 does. I don't know, like Mitchell Robinson took his girl or something. And he's really like,
no,
I don't understand what's going on there. but there's
maybe he doesn't like his TikTok, which no comment. But anyway,
understood. In the real world, what I will say is like, yo, this is a problem. Can you play this person on the floor against elite level teams? And this is why I know Bondi said he wouldn't sell low on him. And I understand that. And I would. And for more explanation on that, you can check out our latest episode with our hot takes, which I had a little hot take around that. I kind of would. I've been coming to that. I think this is a bit more of a problem than we're seeing. Bryan just gave you all the numbers. It's going down and down. It's not getting better. This is a man at one point who wanted to be more involved in the offense, who wanted to shoot more threes, was posting workout videos of him shooting threes.
Probably still does, by the way.
And was
why would he waver?
And I had heard was not happy that Tibbs wasn't letting him do more in the offense.
He's doing less now.
I mean, when you shoot 17% from the line, isn't that with good reason?
And Mike Brown's mentioned that. Like, you know.
Yo, I thought Mike Brown's comments the other day about like, yeah, if he can't get it done there, we're going to have to play somebody else. I was like, I like that. But
this is why he's so important to a title, because he's an elite offensive rebounder, but he's the ultimate swing piece. This is why I think he's so important for them, because he can win you a series, which we saw against Cleveland, which we saw against Boston. Like him being able to knock down enough free throws in the Boston series and then being able to terrorize them on the glass helped you win that series. Same thing with Cleveland just dominating against Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, right? And I think a lot of Knicks fans now would watch the play. If they played in the playoffs tomorrow, they'd be like, oh yeah, Mitch and Towns got it against even this version of Evan Mobley, who, by the way, is probably not developing at the rate some of y'all think he would have. And Jared Allen, who's Jared Allen. So his on and off, like they're better with him on the floor when he's producing. But if he's not making free throws, teams are gonna do the Joe Mazzulla. They're gonna hack a Mitch and go ahead.
I think you're gonna see more. Listen, Knicks fans, I think you'd settle if you shot 50%. You got 1 out of 2, it'd be a glorious day for yourself and Mitchell Robinson.
I can't believe he shot 60% once his rookie year.
Doesn't feel like that. Was that real life? It really happened though.
Before COVID. I don't know if anything before COVID is real.
Fair. All right, last one. The Knicks defense, has it turned a corner? They've been better. They've got up according to Cleaning the Glass. They're 14th in defensive rating. That is 115.5 points per possession. They've been trending up. They now will get OG Anunoby back, which I think is going to cover a lot of warts that we've seen with their defense. It'll help a lot, and hopefully he's healthy. Knock on wood. Do you think the defense is turning a corner? They've been good the last 5 of the last 6 games, but you also got to look at some of the competition.
Right.
The competition has not necessarily been good. So you say a real and not, or I lean to no. Let's see more.
Yeah, I agree. I need to see it against some of these teams that we actually might see them play in the playoffs, not Brooklyn, Charlotte. Like all due respect, Milwaukee without Giannis,
Mm-hmm.
or even with Giannis, quite frankly, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like I need to see it there. Now OG's gonna help. OG's
Oh
absolutely
yeah.
gonna help because OG is all defense, and shit. He was playing like a fringe all-star
I
candidate
agree.
before he got injured. We'll see, and he's returning, I think, sooner than some of us, even Stefan Bondi, expected. But you got to see it against Orlando coming up Sunday. You got to see it against Toronto Tuesday in the Cup game. Indiana, if they're healthy after that, and if you get to the Cup semis and the Cup finals, obviously, like those are the teams. Philly at home, depending on who they play, but Philly at home still. That's not going to be easy. Miami at home after that. Like they have some. I don't want to say gut check games, but they have some important games this month where we can take real stuff away from after this Utah game coming up.
Yeah, there's some really important games this month. So it should be. I agree. Yeah, it's like I'm not going to go say it hasn't turned a corner. I like that I like where they are better than where they were 3.5 weeks ago, I might say.
I agree.
But I want to see more. Orlando's really the game. And I completely agree with Steph. I will be in the building on Sunday for the Orlando game. I really want to see how they play against that team. I'm really intrigued.
Do you still think they could be a top 10 defense, like you said earlier in the year?
I do.
This season. Okay.
I
They're
do.
14th right now, I think. 14th.
14. Yeah, I still do because I think, and I said 8 to 10, and I'll stand on that. I still think there's principles of what they're doing. The problem for them is they're taking away the paint really good and shots there. The two problems I've seen what I don't love. One, it kind of also works on offense too, but people get what I'm saying. The one is they're not guarding the 3-point line as well as they should. They're giving up a ton of threes, especially corner threes. They're giving up a lot of corner threes.
That's all season. Yeah.
And some of that, I do think will get mitigated with OG back, because there was a time where they were trending up a little bit before OG got hurt, and then you saw the dip back, and then they trended back up.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll see it trend back, and that's why I think you get them into the top 10. If they can start playing that level defense, good. The other thing is Mitchell Robinson has not played to me, and especially in garden space at the level of defender that we've seen him before too. That's something that's to get better. Hopefully he's healthy enough to do so. Not saying he's injured, but that's something that has to get better. And, the other thing is, like, this is where the Orlando game comes in. And I know you're going to be keeping your eye on this. Hey, when teams are long and physical, really it's the physicality I'm talking about here. When they get physical with you, what you got for that? And that goes on offense too, because when the defense becomes physical on you, what you got for that? And can you bring that same energy back to those teams? We're talking about Orlando. We haven't seen Atlanta yet. They will be another team that's long that can, show some length and some physicality at you. Detroit's another one. How are you going to match up against those teams? That's going to be the key, something I want to see. And that's something Knicks have to be better at defensively.
And Paolo might play in that game because he's questionable to play tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Paolo might be back. And for the Toronto game, it's possible that RJ Barrett's back. It's possible that Jakob Poeltl plays as well. Didn't play in the last game where they played against the Knicks. So that's something that's also worth keeping an eye on. Miami's gotten healthier from the last times that they played against each other as well, since they've gotten Tyler Hero back, although they haven't looked better offensively. I will reiterate, but they have gotten healthier since then. And Indiana's healthier, has gotten healthier, because they lost everybody at one point. Now they've gotten a couple guys back, Mather and Nembhard. Philadelphia, like Embiid started tonight. You never know when Embiid's gonna play, but he started tonight. So yeah, I think that's the thing too. It feels like they're gonna see more real teams coming up and healthier teams coming up, because even some of the teams that they play, like the Nets didn't have Cam Thomas, the Hornets didn't have Brandon Miller, and it's the NBA now. Everyone's gonna be missing somebody, but like that's just the reality of it. But you're healthy now. Once you get OG back, like it's just Shamit.
It's just down Shamit, right?
Yeah. It's just Shamit. So
yeah, you got to see it, and we'll be interested to see what Mike Brown does with the lineup. He does have some more flexibility. We'll see how all that goes there. All right, that's going to be a wrap for this live edition, Knicks Weekly Live here in New York Got Game. As I said, please check out the Hot Takes episode up right now on the New York Post Sports YouTube channel. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for us here. We will be back next week with another live show. hopefully previewing the NBA Cup semifinals, which the Knicks could be in. If they do that, they will play on Saturday, the 13th of December. They obviously play Toronto on Tuesday. We will be doing a live watch party for that. More details to come in that soon, including a guest, and then hopefully a live watch party for the semifinals game and the finals game. If it gets to that, we will do all the cup postseason, if you want to call it that, knockout round games. We will have coming up too. Once again, thanks to our guest, Stephan Bondi, for coming through with us, giving us some good insight. We'll have more videos. Steph and I will be at the game tomorrow. I have a post-game video on that. We'll also have something on Sunday, which I'm working on in terms of doing something with Steph after the Orlando game, and then also hopefully having somebody to preview the Toronto matchup. So should have a good guest. Working on getting a good guest. Hopefully that'll come through to preview the NBA Cup matchup. So that'll be good. So check out those things in the next couple of days. Shout out to our production team, our producer Tommy Cohen doing his thing here. I'm Dexter Henry. He's Bryan Fonseca. Check out that hot takes episode. Let us know your hot takes. It's a really good one. And if you want to laugh at me sweating or tearing up, you want to laugh at Bryan, you go try that hot sauce. You do it yourself. You know what I'm saying? You can laugh at me. You try that hot sauce. And then you can blame Nikolai Jackson too. You can do that as well. Like I said, that's Bryan. I'm Dex. We'll catch you next time on another edition of New York Got Game. Peace.